So my name is Ryan Sears, co-founder and CEO of SurveySnap. And SurveySnap is a software company with a site survey platform for the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. So what is a site survey? Well, that's what architects and real estate developers do before a project begins and before a renovation starts or an acquisition is made. They'll go out to the site and they'll do a survey of what's out there. They collect things like measurements and notes and pictures and things like that. So what's the problem? Well, currently site surveys are very analog, and we go in, like an architect or real estate developer will go in with a pen and a pad and a digital camera and rolled up plans and measuring tape and all this stuff. And it's, then when they get back to the office, they got to put all this into some kind of format that is professional, that could be presented to their boss and to the client and to their coworkers. And it has to be organized based on where the information was in the room and which notes went with which pictures, and it's a real pain point in the industry. In fact, site surveys have been done the same way for the last 80 years. SurveySnap digitizes site surveys. It allows these individuals to go out and drop everything that they would have normally taken out there and go out with just the tablet device and collect things like the photos and notes and measurements and audio and video, and really use the capabilities of our mobile devices and smart pin that information to specific areas on the floor plan as they walk through the building. Then with one tap, they can create professional looking PDF and web presentations that can be shared in real time and collaborated on with anyone. All the projects that are created are kept in the cloud and are accessible on any web browser or mobile device. So what's the current status? Well, we have a beta product completed, and we're rolling out a wide pilot program to 10 firms. These are some of the firms that have agreed to work with us. And we've collected a lot of user data so far from working with a few individuals in the field. And as we roll this out, these are the companies that have not only agreed to purchase the product during the pilot program, but take the time to use it and give us feedback on it. So what's the competitive landscape? Well, there's a number of project management solutions that offer mobile integration, and also things like mobile blueprint solutions. And then there's inspection software. But SurveySnap is focused on site surveys. And we've interviewed 100 potential users for the product and worked with our small beta group to find out what's the real differentiator and what would give them a real return on investment. Some of the things that they've told us that set our product apart is real-time collaboration, multiple attribute pinning, web presentations, and a tally counter. These are things that we're going to have in our roadmap, amongst other things that are continue to set us apart from the competition and give return on investment to the users. So what's the size of the market? Well, the AEC industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry with a $10 billion annual IT spend, and that's growing rapidly. Our business model is software as a service, and we're selling tiered storage plans on a monthly basis, so it'll ramp up from inexpensive when they just have a few plans or a small-time architect on up to high-tiered plans that can be sold to enterprise. We've also gotten a lot of requests for customizations and white labeling from the larger enterprises, and we're also going to supply support, or we're going to offer support for those. So there's 3 revenue streams right off the bat that include the tiered storage plans, the customizations, and the support fees. 2 of those are reoccurring. And then in the future, one thing that's special about our product is that site surveys are done at the point of sale. And a lot of people don't realize that, but before a project starts and at the time that they're going out to look at a project to see if it's profitable, or before they acquire the properties, when they're going out to look at it. But it's collected on pen and pad, so they have no visibility, no connection between the information that's being collected on site and how profitable the project was. Most of the solutions are focused on the process and saving money out there. And so they've been asking for analytics. What converted into a profitable project? And so that's where we're going to supply that in the future. And then also, big data and is also an opportunity. So with the customers, there's 15 million potential customers that are out there. However, in our research and our industry knowledge in the past, we know that about 1/5 of those individuals actually go out on site and have access to an iPad. And so our addressable market is more like 3 million. I wanted to make an assumption to show how scalable and how high the margins are for this business. So let's assume over a 5-year period that there could be a 10% penetration rate. And to acquire these customers, we have a number of things that we're doing, but one of the things that really makes us unique and sets us apart is we're establishing distribution agreements with individuals that are already in the industry and have the distribution mechanisms and sales forces in place to sell this stuff. And through our contacts of being in the industry, we've already started the preliminary talks for this, and many of the beta partners that we've talked with have also expressed interest in helping to distribute the software. So a top-down approach from the owners, reps, and architects is going to be the key to distributing the software. Also, one thing that we've built into the product and has made us unique is that there's a really low entry point and a low barrier to entry. One person in their company can pick up SurveySnap and use it and get added professionalism and time savings and ROI out of it on the very first use. We don't have to sell the whole company on it. There's no training. There's no long sales cycle. They either do site surveys or they don't. And once they see it, the value in it from one person, then we can get in and sell the customizations, the white labeling, and everything. So it's a really low entry point and barrier to entry, but a really high upside in each customer. So let's look at some financials here. As I said with the assumption, let's say at the end it's 300,000 customers, but let's zoom into the first year. Let's say that our goal is to sell 3,000 seats in the first year. And in this chart here, we assumed $30 per month per user. And this doesn't include selling any customizations or white labeling or support fees, just the basic tiered structure of the fees. The annualized revenue at the end of reaching that goal of 3,000 seats is an annual revenue of about $1 million. Now, when we subtract out the cost of goods sold and the general expenses, that puts us at a gross profit of about $480,000 at that level of customer acquisition. So, and as you look over time, it shows that the business is very scalable and has high margins, as with many SaaS businesses. A little bit about the team myself. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. I've owned a real estate firm for the last 7 years, almost 8 years now, and have a background in graphic and web design. Our co-founder, Chris, has been in architecture and construction management for 12 years and is a domain expert here. Anil Shapakaran has been doing software development for us. He has 14 years experience with web and mobile development, part of the Accelerate Baltimore class, which has supplied a lot of mentorship and also funding through the Able Foundation. So our current status is that we have a beta product, and we're testing that with pilot program for these companies. And we've continued to stay in touch with these folks as we're developing the product. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from them on exactly what would deliver the highest return on investment, and also what would set this apart from anything else that they've seen out there and would make it an integral part of their site survey process and of their business. And we've cataloged those things. And one of the good things that we've found, and we've been really fortunate, is that we found that the demand is really high. The first 10 companies that we asked to be a part of the pilot program all said yes. And they all agreed to pay for it. And they also all agreed, there was several of them that wanted to help distribute the software with us. And so we've found that the demand has been really high for this. And so it's been a hustle for us to kind of bring up the development to meet this demand. And so that's why we're raising an angel round, is we feel like the demand is now. We feel like the time is now to take advantage of that. And we want to spend half the money bringing up the development up to where the demand is in the market. And so when we know exactly what to do, we have the software development companies and individuals within our company to take advantage of that and to fill that demand that's there. And additionally, the other half of the money we want to spend on marketing, as well as filling out the distribution agreements that we have with these companies that are interested. And so that's why we're raising the money and what we're planning on doing with it. Just to give an idea of some of the exit strategies, we could sell to some of those strategic partners as a possibility, or sell to a competitor, or possibly go public with the size of the company and the opportunity that's here. Just to give an idea of the variety of companies that could potentially be acquirers, there's Autodesk, which is the biggest distributor of AutoCAD software, and there's many other competitors that might like something like this to cap off the software solution that they already have. There's many project management solutions too that would be interested in having this to cap off the process at the beginning and the end, and to make it a full solution. A company like Blackboard, a lot of people didn't understand that when I put that up there, but that means they actually do security audits where they go out and do security access. So there's a lot of security companies that have been really interested in this. And then there's companies like cloud-based companies like Evernote that might want to penetrate the business market, get in there. So that's the lay of the land as far as the exit strategy. So my name is Ryan Sears, co-founder and CEO of SurveySnap.
Good job.
Okay.
Yeah, I had just a couple questions. I assume that you're probably not distributing the software through the App Store. You're doing some other kind of channel, or?
So right now we're just using TestFlight to distribute it, but we're going to put it in the App Store, and it's going to be a free app.
Oh, I see.
And it's just going to access the cloud because there's a web backend and everything like that.
They have fetishes about selling stuff through the App Store where you have to pay outside of the context of the App Store, and they may make you do an in-app purchase. Have you looked into that?
Yeah, we've done extensive research on that. I've found that there's no precedence for them coming in and saying, well, you have a SaaS business, and if you're going to sell SaaS over here, then you have to pay us the fee just to have the app in the App Store. This is really just access to the platform. That's in
I would get further clarification on that, because that's not my understanding. But and I've heard, I'm on some mailing lists for like some different VC funds, founders lists and stuff, and I've heard people bouncing that question around.
Really?
And I'm not sure what the right answer is on it. So I would get super clarity on that, and particularly before you give it as a pitch to anybody that knows anything about the App Store, because they may know the total right answer on that, and you want to absolutely have that nailed down.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll do some more research.
Yeah, because that's 30% that you got to account for if that's the case,
Yeah, an additional detail that I found out there, just an FYI, is like if you have, like they said, if you have a link in there where they can like click on it and go to your sales page, then they're going to want 30%.
Yeah.
We made sure not to have that
Yeah,
because we knew that was going to be a problem.
Right. So then the question is, what does the sort of onboarding experience look like, and how do you get access to it? And sometimes they also want for there to be like a basic functionality that exists in the free product, but that if they have access to something else that they've signed up for completely separately, I think that might be okay. But that might be something to consider. And in fact, having minimal functionality in the free product might be a way to do customer acquisition. So that might be something to think about. The one thing about the free product, though, you can't do like a time-based limit on that. It can't be like full functionality for a week. It has to be some set of reasonable features, in like the light version, and then you can maybe expand that if you've also signed up for your site. But there's a whole labyrinth of hobbles to navigate there, and I think they're navigable, but you just got to make sure you're right on it. The other question I had for you was, I noticed that your numbers didn't show any like customer acquisition or marketing costs, at least not that I can see.
So I included the, it's hard to get it all in up here.
Sure.
I included the cost of goods sold was the acquisition cost was in there, and then the general expenses down here. So like, commissions or sales or anything that we would have to pay up there.
So what do you figure your acquisition cost per seat is?
It's hard to tell,
Sure.
but if we're going to work with distribution partners, I would say it's going to end up being anywhere from, we pay a percentage in those cases, so there wouldn't be a fixed rate where we would have to say, oh, we have to pay this much per ad and this much per.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point it's going to average out to something.
Yeah, so I put down 25%, of the sale.
And what does that translate into in dollars again?
Well, at $30 per month per
Yeah.
user.
So $7.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, you probably, it's not going to be a recurring acquisition cost.
Right.
So
There's a lifetime value to this,
Right,
and
exactly.
we plan to iterate the product every 6 weeks with new features, and so we want to make this an integral part and really retain customers. So
I would come up with just a really more compact thesis on the acquisition costs and see if you can express lifetime value of a customer versus acquisition costs, because that just makes it really clear kind of, you know.
what we're expecting.
Yeah, and again, you don't have to be totally right, but you should at least have a guess at that you can just kind of say.
Like that.
Training, the guy out in the field who no longer has to have the paper and tape measures and all that. How easy is it for somebody to use the tablet? I mean, do they need training on the tablet? Do they, is it all intuitive, or
Yeah,
how does that work?
the first time, we've been doing some testing on that, and
Right.
one of the big focuses for us is user experience, and when they pick it up, can they just pick it up and start using it? Some of the things that we initially have done is when they first go in to create a new account, there's only one button to push.
Yeah.
We only give them one thing at a time to do to get them started as they walk through the process, and we found that that's gotten us a lot of good feedback. And so we're really focused on that, because one of the advantages to this, as I was saying, is that they can go out and just pick it up and use it and get value out of it right away, as opposed to like project management suite or something.
So in the beta testing you're doing, it's so far so good mode.
Well,
Is that
we've only rolled it out to a couple of people.
Okay.
We haven't rolled it out to the 10
Okay.
companies that have agreed so far. So we're doing that in the next 2 weeks.
okay?
We'll see. I'm sure there's tons of
That's
stuff that we
always
need to
a-
fix in there.
Kind of a link in the chain that sometimes is problematic. So.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's good.
Also, one comment. I would put who you are more toward the front of the presentation. You're then telling the people, okay, this is who's talking to you, and then because your credentials are wonderful, and but probably I stick them toward the front than toward the back of the presentation.
You guys get it?
Yeah, I got it. I got it. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense. That was a good job. Very good job.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank
Dave, is it effective to express the customer acquisition cost in terms of months of revenue?
Yeah. Yeah,
1
like, so
month,
you
2
can
months,
talk
3
about like a
months.
payback period,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, you could do it in one of a number of ways, but you just want to get a sense that you know that the customer acquisition cost is going to be less than the lifetime value.
Yeah.
Because then you know that you can pour money on that, and customers will
Right,
hear,
yeah. That's a very common way of expressing customer acquisition cost of a recurring monthly revenue stream.
I'm gonna do that. That's
1
good.
month, 2 months,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, payback period should be 3 months.
Yeah, I'll verbalize it. I can tweak my language here to say that, but that's
Cool.
good. That's good.
I thought the graphics were good, and that was a good job. Really.
Yeah, it's really clean, really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah, you didn't we're gussied up with a lot of, eye-catching things. It's just kind of straightforward.
Good.
Yeah, it makes sense to their needs, so, yeah.
Yeah.